Yes.
Got it. Very good. All right, welcome everyone. We're going to start out our board meeting with some student recognitions and then a staff.
All right, so student recognitions. The Board of Education would like to recognize 3 students that recently finished in the top 3 spots of the RMS Geography B. RMS Social Studies teachers held a preliminary round to determine a representative from each class. On December 19th, 2019, all classroom representatives went on to the next round to determine the top 10 finalists. On Wednesday, January the 8th, 2020, all school assembly was held where the 10 finalists competed against one another. During the final round, if a student missed 2 questions, he or she was eliminated until we had the top 2 remaining. The top 2 competed with a fresh slate and 3 questions. So the top 3 finishers are as follows. First place, Sebastian Fisher, who's a 4th grader. Come on up. Second place, Arshia Malhotra,
Parents, you can come on right in the middle.
You can come in the
6th grade. And third place, Daniel Basha,
You can come
5th
on
grade.
and take pictures. Myra, you're gonna get pictures, right?
Here comes Samuel.
Come on, Samuel, come on down.
You guys gotta get closer together. Yeah. Closer together in front of the bulldog. Say snow day.
Rules.
The snow day. Coming to school on a school day. Snow day. Yeah. We got one more. Turn around. Samuel's another one of the pictures.
We don't know about school tomorrow yet, so don't be too bad.
I'll be staying up late.
The Board of Education would like to recognize 2 students that competed in Special Olympics held at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri on November 4th, 2019 and received medals for a job well done. Autumn Ritchie received a first place medal for bowling, and Thomas Sorrell received a second place medal for bowling. Are either one of them here?
No.
Give them a hand over.
I think one's coming. Is that Thomas?
Ah,
Perfect. Just in time.
Man of the hour.
Perfect.
You're just
timing.
perfect
that
timing.
was perfect.
We were applauding his entrance even.
Come right on down here, Thomas. Yeah. Congratulations. Okay, item B, staff recognition. The Board of Education would like to recognize Stephanie Grisham for receiving her doctorate from William Woods University. Dr. Grisham defended her dissertation entitled Relationship of Mathematical Ability in Middle School and Gender as Related to High School Mathematical Performance on December 6, 2019. She will participate in the graduation ceremony at the end of April 2020. So congratulations, Stephanie. All right, congratulations.
Ms. They can give us an abstract of your dissertation at the podium, but, oh, you don't have to do that.
She's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Very good, and thank you everyone for being here tonight. We're going to move on to questions from the floor. At this time, any person wishing to speak on any question previously discussed through administrative channels and not on the agenda will be granted 5 minutes to make a presentation to the board. Please state your name for the record. And seeing none, we'll move on to presentations on agenda items. Any person wishing to speak on any items on the agenda will be granted 5 minutes to make a presentation. Please state your name for the record. All right, very good.
Drive safe. Yes.
Y'all be careful.
Careful out
Hey,
there.
yeah, we were gonna tell you, you're welcome to stay if you want, but
Yes.
I'm sure there
We definitely are.
Bye, thank
are other things you'd rather be doing. See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our consent agenda. A consent agenda is utilized by the Rolla Board of Education as a means of dealing with routine matters which must be considered by the Board of Education but require a minimum of discussion. All Board of Education members receive and review written information supporting the items listed on the consent agenda well in advance of the meeting. While any Board of Education member is welcome to remove any item from the consent agenda for separate consideration or discussion for any reason, normally, all items on the consent agenda are approved in one motion with a minimum of discussion. So we're looking at items A through E. Do I have a motion to approve those items?
I'll make the motion to approve items A through E on the consent agenda.
Thanks, Jane.
I'll second.
Thanks, Shannon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, we're going to move into new business, and Dr. Dare, you've got a couple things to talk to us about, an early childhood special education position.
Yes, ma'am. First thing is an early childhood special ed aide position at Wyman. This is a position for students who are struggling with the day-to-day tasks, extra support for our teachers. The federal and state government will reimburse us 100% of the cost of this based on our caseload and the student needs. So we will have the expense this year, but then they reimburse us in the following year, just as they do with all those expenses. So we would ask the board to approve the addition of that position.
I would make the motion to approve that.
Thanks, Tony.
And I'll second.
Thanks, Carla. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And back to Dr. Dare on the special education aide position.
We're also asking for a special education aide for Mark Twain. This again is based on changing student needs, changing student population. This one would be paid for from allocations from our federal Part B Students with Disabilities funding.
Any questions for Dr. Dare? Can I get a motion to approve the special aid position at Mark Twain?
I will make the motion to approve that position.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank
Mr. Hounsome, you're going to talk to us about 2020 summer school. It's a good day to talk about summer school.
Bring on
Seems
summer.
appropriate, doesn't it? On page 38A of your packet is a summary of the summer school that we'll be asking you to approve tonight. The summer school resembles what we've done in the past, updated for this year. Summer school will begin on Monday, June 1st and run through Friday, June 26th. So that's 4 weeks, 20 instructional days. We are proposing to continue the elementary and middle school program consists of a 4-hour block for 80 total instructional hours over summer school. High school will offer 2 3-hour blocks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Each 3-hour block during the month of June would allow a student to earn 1/2 credit of graduation. So if they wanted to take both blocks over that time, they could earn a full credit. We are also would like to continue to offer launch online classes. And we have the ability to go ahead and extend that through June and July. So June could be a credit, July could be a credit. So if students wanted to pursue some combination of online classes and seated classes in any combination, they could earn up to 2 credits over the summer school if they take the launch class in July. So a lot of offerings there. We are still proposing to use Wyman, the middle school and the high school to house the summer school. Obviously, most elementary will fit as much as we can at Wyman. Primarily, the incoming kindergarten classes will be held at Wyman, and then from there, we'll space out the classes as best we can. But those 3 sites should be able to handle the crowd. We would like to continue to offer a lunch program at all 3 sites. and bus transportation within the city limits of Rolla on a limited stop basis. So it's not house to house like it is during the school year, but we set up spots all around Rolla so that we can get students to school with the busing. We do receive no funding for the busing, so that is our responsibility, but we think it helps a lot and it helps get kids to school. So what I've described there is the summer school that we've had the past few years. I think it's successful. I think it gives kids the right balance of some work over the summer while also allowing them to be kids and enjoy summer. So I think this is a good offering for our districts. I would ask tonight, I would gladly take any questions that you have, but ask for your approval to move forward with this plan.
Craig, do you see a lot of fluctuations in attendance of this where the numbers are quite different from year to year, or it's pretty consistent?
It's fairly consistent. I would say the biggest change that we've seen over the last few years is with the introduction of our early childhood program that has reduced the number of students coming for the incoming kindergarten classes. I think primarily because a lot of kids now are in preschool, and parents used to use that summer school as the first introduction to school to get kids used to it, but we're giving that experience other ways. But other than that, we're fairly consistent year to year.
Do you think we're going to be okay with driver's ed this year?
I hope so. Yes, we should be good. Yes.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr.
We are
Markham?
trying to get more teachers certified because those certification is running out. There is a fear down the road that we're going to run out of people certified. So we are actually, we have some teachers that haven't previously taught are seeking to get certified so that we can replenish our pool. So,
Good.
so that will be good if we can do that.
All right, if there's no other discussion, do I have a motion to approve the 2020 summer school proposal?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Are you sticking around for the next thing? Mr. Hounson's going to review the selection process for our math materials.
So no action tonight, but last week we began this process, and I thought it'd be good to update you here as we go through, because this is kind of a big deal. So I want to talk you through the process that we're going to go through this semester. I'll be coming back to you later this spring with a recommendation for what we would like to do, but I thought I would kind of talk you through this process just to answer any questions that you might have. So we are on a 5-year rotation of reviewing all of our materials and our curriculum and revising curriculum and then getting materials to match. We try to space out the major core subjects, not to do more than one in a school year, because that's a lot of change for teachers to implement new materials into their classroom and revise the curriculum that goes along with it. So this is the year for math. We did English last year, if you will recall, so this year is a math year, so this is what we'll be going through. Central office here, I lead the adoption for the materials at the K-6 level. Once you get up to the 7th and 8th and then the high school, the principals are in charge of that process, but they work through me and I help them through that. Dr. Fulton has included the 7th and 8th grade with our K-6 group, so really this math adoption is going to be a full K-8 review of our materials that we're looking at. The process here, this is very much a committee approach. We have one teacher from each grade level, from each elementary on the K through 3 team. So from Mark Twain, Truman, and Wyman, each grade level, we have one representative from each grade. So each grade level team consists of 3 teachers. To keep some consistency, we include 3 middle school teachers at each grade level, 4, 5, and 6. Now at the junior high level, the entire math department participates, but with their departmentalization, that just fits better, and that's fine. We also have high school teachers involved in the review to make sure that the materials are getting kids to the point when they enter high school that they have everything they need to be successful. We have our Title I math teachers involved, we have our principals involved, and we have our instructional technology specialists involved. So it's a large committee that we have. We use the boardroom, we set up the samples down here, and we spread out with all the grade levels working together on their individual grade level, and it's a large group of people that will look at these materials, which I think is important. The more eyes we have on this, the better, with all the different perspectives from all the different grade levels. I have enlisted the help of Dr. Mandy Welch and Mr. Rob Hauk to help with the process on some of the dates that I will be gone. So they have been here along with several other principals, but those two, I've asked for their assistance in working with the group, getting materials and overseeing the process during times that I may be out here. So they will be assisting. The process. So we have an evaluation rubric that we use to evaluate the materials on things such as the content, both the alignment to state standards and the rigor that is necessary for our students to be successful. Things like the assessment process, what that looks like from the student end and from the teacher end, the technology integration that comes with it, everything about what it looks like in the classroom and the usability both from the student end and the teacher end. We have a rubric that we can assign scores to help us rate the products and get some guidelines about what might fit best for us. The process we're going through now is I have contacted the publishers. They have sent me their samples of materials, a full grade level material, a full set of materials at each grade level. At this point, we're going through and doing what we call a cold read review of the materials. This is where teachers just break open the sample boxes, sit down, and go through and talk about what they're seeing, the types of problems that they're seeing, how it aligns to our state standards, what the assessment looks like. And they're using the rubric tool to make notes, ask questions, denote strengths, weaknesses, things that they would like to know more about, things that they aren't sure about. And we're doing that both for the paper materials that we get, and also we get the publishers to give us demo access to the online resources or even temporary accounts so that we can get in and see what the online side looks of this. So, but it's a cold read. The rubric that we're using, we're not getting a hard score at this point, but it's labeled off into sections and they're taking notes relative to each section on what they're seeing so that they can go back and refer to it later. So each meeting we will pull one resource. For instance, this last week we did a product from Pearson Envision Math, and they spend our entire meeting looking at that one resource. And then the next meeting we'll pull out a resource from another publisher and just go week by week. We'll look at one at a time to go through and look at each one. Once we've reviewed all the materials, we will meet and we will try to pare the list down from a fairly lengthy list to a series of finalists, the ones that seem to fit us the best. Usually 3 or 4 different products that we will consider finalists or ones that we would like to learn more about. Once we have that list pared down, we will contact the publishers and they will come on site to present to the entire committee. Usually we're here all day for each one. We'll have about 90 minutes to do a presentation on their materials. And we do this because it's really impossible to understand fully everything you're seeing in a full set of textbook materials, and especially with the online resources. It's impossible to dig through and find everything that's there and understand how everything works together. So we have the publishers come in, walk us through each of the products. At that point, we do really use our rubric to go through and try and score each one to get some type of guidance and understanding and some objectivity in making the decision. After the presentation, we meet as a group and we just start talking about each one and strengths and weaknesses and scores, and we look at all of it. We come up hopefully with some consensus on what the best choice is for us. Now, most product lines break. There's typically a K5 product and then a separate 6-8 product. So sometimes we don't match K8. Sometimes there's one that's better at the lower elementary level as opposed to one that might be better at the 6th, 7th, and 8th junior high and middle school level. So we try and work through all that, and it's always very strong opinions, which is really good. That's what we want. We want really strong opinions because the materials that we put in the classroom are really important, that they're high quality and that they help us meet what we're going to do. Once we reach a kind of a line that we draw for all those that would be acceptable, all those that are above a line that would really work, we ask for quotes. get prices, make a final decision, then I bring those to you and kind of summarize the choices and ask for make a recommendation to you and ask for approval. Once we get it, then we go full steam ahead of trying to then get them all here, get teachers trained on how to use them and start the next school year. So all of that started last week. We'll be working through that over the next couple months. A lot of time spent. The teachers on the committee spend several evenings after school here to review the materials, which I greatly appreciate. We couldn't do it without them being giving of their time to come look at this and really help us make a decision. So, again, no recommendations tonight. I just wanted you guys to know what we're kind of heading into and what we'll be doing throughout this spring. I'd be happy to answer any questions or take any comments about the process back to the committee.
I have a quick question. What kind of consideration is given for the students going from one to the other?
So most companies, the one thing that we check for is alignment to the Missouri Learning Standards. So how one company presents, for instance, third grade learning standards to then maybe a student moves up to fourth grade to cover those standards. Usually in math, it isn't so radically different that it becomes a completely foreign idea or a switch for the student to really get used to new materials. Usually the pages may look different, but the approach that they take really isn't that much different to where there should be a large transition period for a kid.
Okay,
Really.
thank you.
On the kid side, it's a little bit easier. On the teacher side, there's a little more change because typically they're accessing all their lessons from an online platform. They're pulling down presentations, assessments, and a lot of times just finding all of that once you become used to going here, here, and here, that becomes the training part for teachers is a little bigger challenge than it is for the transition for kids. No, go ahead.
I also remember when I was involved with it when I was an educator, and a lot of too was just the user friendliness of it with the teacher and the student. You know, like, was it accessible? You know, was it great delivery? Was it something that the kids would pick up on? So all those things are really, it's a long process, but they're very involved in it.
You know, one of the challenges when Missouri rewrote our standards, Missouri rewrote its standards for Missouri. We're not a large enough state to have an entire publishing arm write materials directly for Missouri. They do have California-specific books and Texas-specific books and Florida-specific books. So one of the things that we really spend a lot of time on is checking the alignment of the materials to what our students are going to be expected to do. And we have removed some textbooks that did things well, but they were just so out of alignment with Missouri standards that it became we couldn't use them. So that
Do
is
they
one-
provide you with that?
They do. So if we ask, they will provide alignment studies for us. Some of the materials that all the teachers have, so we have a copy of the Missouri Learning Standards printed off by grade level in each grade level's folder. So they have it right there with them as we're looking through the books. So if they're unsure if what they're seeing in the book matches, we can match it right there. But the companies will also provide it for us as well.
How many products are you guys looking at the cold read
So
stage?
1, 2, 3, I believe 6 right now. So we've done 2 so far. We've had 2 meetings. We had one last week and then one Wednesday just this week, and so we'll keep marching on.
And how would you describe the change from 5 years ago, the publications? I mean, has there been that much change in the way that we teach math in 5 years and the online resources?
So there's a continuum in teaching math. There's this continuum of your philosophy. On one side is a very skill and drill oriented, basic facts, worksheets, basic number facts on this side. Over here is like an investigative approach where students kind of build their own knowledge and gain knowledge from asking questions, and you give them this large problem to solve, and they start figuring out what parts they need and how to solve it. So on that continuum, we tend to line up more here in the middle. Problem solving and investigative thinking is certainly important, and that's what kids are going to be asked to do in the real world and in their classes. But we're also not moving away from the importance of basic math facts and math skills. So the biggest difference in the materials, like we have 3 different materials from one company, but it's because they fall all along this continuum in their approach of how they teach math. We kind of have one here, one in the middle, and one on this side. So we're looking at all 3, but in the past, we've tended to try and land there in the middle, a nice mix of problem solving and challenging our students to talk about math and express it, but we're not getting away from knowing your multiplication tables and having those basic math facts as well. So that's kind of the difference.
Thank you, Craig.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Dare, you're going to talk to us about Dare, baseball field flood mitigation.
So I'm
Some
going to break
changes.
the cardinal rule of presenting and tell you up front that I am not an expert. I have a fundamental knowledge, so I'm going to give you a broad overview of a proposal, a plan that the city planners, Steve Hargis, brought to us for some work on the baseball field. Yep, thank you. Sorry, I thought Craig left that. Just a little. So I thought I would start with just a little background and history. There is a map that's being passed down for you to kind of look over of the system here in Rolla. But there are numerous wet and dry retention ponds throughout the city. And retention ponds being those that constantly have water in them, detention ponds being those that collect water during rain events and those kind of things, and then slowly allow it to further downstream, for lack of a better word. So what we're actually going to be talking about is a detention pond. But all of those are designed to prevent flooding, and from all accounts, it's been very successful. But there are actually 13 of those ponds in the city. Most people don't realize that because you drive by them every day and don't really think about it. FEMA is doing a flood analysis across the country. Part of that's based on some significant losses in recent years. There's a lot of philosophy on why that would be a problem, but some of it may be self-inflicted, but we won't go there. They are working their way across the country, and they've done Missouri, or a good portion of Missouri at this point, including the city of Rolla. And from that study, they've actually proposed a larger floodplain. And part of that is because they're using the LiDAR technology, which I thought was interesting, given that we've been using that LiDAR technology for our examinations of our gym project. But they're using LiDAR, so it's a lot more accurate. And secondly, it's been a while since some of these were done. So with settling, with erosion and silt and those kind of things, it can change water flow and volume areas. So we're actually talking about the high school baseball field. Most people would not guess driving by. It is a dry detention pond as part of the stormwater management system for the city of Rolla. It was purposefully designed to be that. So when the baseball field went in, the city was working on these things. So in a heavy rainfall, it will actually collect water. Typically, if you're driving by, you'll see that in that outfield area. It's not usually very deep, but it does collect some water. And then it allows it to slowly drain out into the what's called the Burger Branch tributary. And that kind of flows down. If you look at that map, it kind of flows down there from the corner of the baseball field down toward the bus barn, and then flows into the Burger Branch. So it's not a very long area, but it does carry some significant water. I mentioned a couple of things there, just kind of wrap your brain around. The water that comes into the baseball field actually is part of that drainage program that starts in that detention pond up at Schumann Park. So that pond there is part of that same detention basin that flows into the baseball. And then, of course, Barrowlawn Park is probably, most people probably don't realize that actually serves a flood purpose as well, also recreation. So I mention that because a lot of these do have multiple purposes. Because it really would not seem that there would be a need to have a limit. But it does serve a purpose, and, the reality is, and Steve's been great to communicate this, the reality is, if FEMA expands that floodplain, it's going to push more residents in law with flood insurance. And their estimates currently, if it doesn't get addressed, would be at $500,000 to $1 million of flood insurance annually.
That's the premium.
That's that premium flood insurance dollar. So that's a significant savings to the citizens of Raleigh. So there is definitely a value in this, and definitely a purpose in this. And, we're happy to partner with them and look at and do that. And I would like to thank Steve for including us in the conversations and explaining everything. And if you have extensive detailed questions, I can probably find out.
Any idea on the cost?
I don't know.
And you might have said this, so I just didn't hear you, but when is this going to start, or?
I'm sorry, I did not say that, but soon.
Okay.
They're planning on doing this as quickly as they can. Basically, and I'm oversimplifying this, but FEMA has done their measurements, and the city is going to make these adjustments and then appeal that decision to reduce that flood. So they want to get the work done.
Okay, thank you.
So I would say as weather allows.
So did they give you like any timeline on how long it would take?
Yeah, they don't anticipate it taking a long time, but it is a lot of work. 12 inches doesn't seem like a lot, but on the top of that levee, it will be
Sure.
substantial.
Now, baseball season starts in March. I'm assuming they're going to try to have it done before then or after?
We asked them to try to do that, but they did tell me if they're not able to get that done, they will make sure that it's not affecting.
Okay.
Is that levy, is that on our property, or is that on an easement, or what, whose property is that?
It's ours.
It's ours?
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
I think it's both.
Okay,
There's some easement there and then also our.
okay.
Great.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our Board of Education future meeting dates, February 6th and the 20th, also March 5th and 19th. And then I think there's a few of us registered for the Missouri School Board Association Legislative Forum at in Jefferson City on February the 10th.
And I did let you know that I will be absent at the February 6th meeting.
February 6th.
Not acceptable.
No.
What?
And I,
What
I
did you
will-
say?
I think he's just declined your absence.
What did he say, Mr. Cohen?
and Charlotte, I will not be here on the February 20th.
And no Carla. Okay, thanks for letting us know. You got those, Myra? Okay, great. We'll move into old business, board candidate filing. At this time, we have 4 candidates for the 3 positions of Director of Rolla Number 31 School District. Filing ended January 21st at 5 p.m. The names of these candidates will be sent to the county clerk's office by Friday, January 24th. That's tomorrow. The candidates in order will appear on the ballot are number 1, Carla Clayton, number 2, Tony Froelich, number 3, Susan Udaly, and number 4, Mark Sells. Okay. Our next item is from Ms. Atkinson, our FY20 budget amendments.
I just wanted to take an opportunity to bring you up to speed on the balance of our budget balance for our fund, for the capital projects fund. After the
Where is it here?
purchase of the Cedar Street property, and also the corresponding revenues against the policy for the zoning complex properties. So after that purchase, we budgeted in the balance of capital budget projects
Thank you.
Thanks.
Disregard.
Okay. Any,
Good to go.
Go ahead.
So that's really all I have, for this, if we can get an approval, then, summary fund, budget fund is on page 39 of your packet. And the budget as presented.
okay, very good. Any questions for Kendra? It's kind of exciting to see the Blossom Basket property there.
No
Sure.
kidding,
Yeah,
yeah.
exciting. Okay, I'd like to get a motion to approve the budget amendments as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Carla.
I'll second the motion.
Thanks, Jane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. R 2020. This is our ballot issue update. Carla was the first on the motion, and Jane seconded. And everyone said aye. Song and dance? Come on.
Okay, very good. Just be a part of our perpetual agenda from here till Election Day, just subtle changes to the presentation based upon continued work by our architects and bring up to speed on the formation of the R31-2020 Campaign Committee. As a reminder, the strategic plan connection between long-range facility planning and the eventual decision you made at our last board meeting to put this on the April ballot. The 5 projects narrowed from 7 based on the 10-year facility plan that was passed in June of 2018. 2 surveys have led us to the focus on these 5 projects. At the safety and security, again, upgrade all buildings. Those things that are listed there, and the other attributes related to visitor management, entry configuration, and communications. This graph hasn't changed. It's kind of our placemat of what we're working off of to enhance district-wide safety. The high school is probably where the significant conceptual changes have occurred. As we began this project and in the 10-year facility plan, we were hamstrung a little bit by the corner property acquisition, and as you know, at our last meeting, just prior to that, we had closed on the property known as the Cedar Street property where Blossom Basket and Peak Performance and other businesses are. As we look at the refinement now, taking this concept drawing sketched out in its rough form and kind of looking at it more in a hardened drafting format, we have one option here which takes the corner property, enhances parking, and moves the gym to the area there where the entrance to the high school is now and where there is parking. I was asked yesterday, I met with a student from the Echo, was asking about the project and where we would put the gym, and explained to them that the hallway that where the veterans hallway is now, where the glass is, and was designed on purpose for us to be able to expand into that hillside. So underground infrastructure work was in, we know where the rock is. We were able to do that for future expansion, of which this is one of those options. Again, the area in purple is new classroom space for band and vocal music. Part of this project will be designated as a storm shelter, so safety is woven into every project that we have. And the area in blue is the conversion of the existing gymnasium to an auditorium. Another option, as we look at here, again, with the Cedar Street acquisition, allows us to move the gym to the corner, creates the space, same space for the instrumental and vocal music, leaves the existing parking lot intact where the hallway was I just spoke of. But just to give you an idea of the options that we have been discussing, we haven't landed on any one yet, but this process will evolve as we get out in the community and talk about it, and as we try to find efficiencies in the project design. This is the actual video of the conversion of the gymnasium to an auditorium that we've embedded in the presentation. It seems to go faster here than it's
It does. It's very fast.
Faster computer.
faster computer. So think fast. But we'll see if we can't slow it down at some point. I thought we accomplished a milestone when we got this embedded in Google from the LiDAR. It's such a big, it won't email because it's such a big, big file. But if you're like most people, it's hard to visualize something from the previous design of an auditorium in blue from the gymnasium to seeing it in 3D. It certainly does bring it to life, which is quite striking. If we go to the junior high school, what we've been talking about there is the addition of a instrumental and vocal music classroom space with the alternate in light blue being to convert that existing space we use for band and choir to a flex space, weight room type PE facility for the junior high school students. So pretty straightforward project. At Truman Elementary, taking the area in orange would become the new library and the office area. Again, safety is part of this, and that part of this will be designated as a safe room. The existing office area will become classroom space, and then the existing library in light blue gets repurposed into a flex space atrium like it really should be, more of a lobby than it is anything. I was asked this morning at a meeting about if you look at that area to the upper left corner of the new library, the orange, that when you walked in Truman, and that we used to have a music room there, and it used to be 2 steps down in a sunken classroom in that lobby area, and we have actually built into that lobby with our own construction of walls to create spaces for our mental health counselors and staff that we've been working with that we didn't have space in there to have them before. To me personally, it'd be nice to reclaim that lobby because we spent a lot of time creating that lobby because it was such a choked down space and really limited access to the office. So while it doesn't eat up the entire area, the flow through to the very back where the gym is, it would be nice to reclaim that, but we'll see how that works. It's just my personal design opinion. But again, the most important thing is the new space for library. This is the only building that we didn't update our library from the last elementary projects. So I think it's overdue, and moving the central office space administration for Truman out to the front also gives us greater security entrance as well. So at RTI, kind of enumerating some of those that we didn't talk about last time. Talk about restroom renovations. The restrooms are cosmetically the best that they can be, but there are some infrastructure challenges that we have there. I like to refer to it as the bowels of the, pun intended, the pipes, the things that come into the building need to be replaced. Expansion of the automotive tech shop we've talked about, as you'll see in the design, but the schematic. Additional classroom space for building trades, construction trades is, we have a very robust program there, and our second teacher that we added has certainly done well, so that's on the uptick. The outdoor flex space for ag, we've got an ag shop in the back. We've done some makeshift additions and storage of steel and other construction materials for that program, but we'd also like to do something with the greenhouse back there as well and open up some areas for the entryway for safety. We did choke down the entry into the building from the front, but it doesn't flow well, and so we'd like to enhance that as well. The drainage around the building, we need to address that. In addition to that, I know that we've got entry piping.
Sure.
I'll just finish from here.
There you go.
Yeah, you sit over there.
I thought that was a couple more
You
months.
make the call.
I like it over here. I don't know much about textbooks but anyway, the campaign committee, we have been notifying folks that have an interest in all those 5 areas, from career tech to Truman parents to band and vocal music and performing arts supporters. So we anticipate having a kickoff meeting next month with that group and having some leadership from the community to create some support for those. I know that people I've called have answered the call very positively and are willing to serve. So that's a good thing. So that was my last slide. Happy to answer any questions. Again, each month or each meeting will add more to this. We have several speaking engagements scheduled, and several at the schools with PTOs and faculty meetings, and anybody listening that has a group that would want us to come speak, we'll be happy to accommodate. So happy to answer any questions. Pearl.
It's exciting to see the new drawings.
Yes.
They'll continue to evolve. You know, we're working on budget parameters, trying to find those efficiencies to keep the costs down. But it is a $25 million bond issue, and there is funds that are being contributed by the school district on purpose to offset the impact directly to the local taxpayer. $6 million out of Fund 4 that Kendra just talked about. Fund 4, that the floor in Fund 4 is $3 million. That helps you take care of any updates to facilities that are emergency based or any other thing. So that's a pretty healthy balance to mitigate any emergencies. So any other questions, comments?
Mark is working, our architect is working on this to refine, to give him more time. If we should be successful, then he's had some additional time to,
Yeah. Yeah, what you see there is just the result from the last board meetings, and now we asked him to kind of, let's clean these drawings up and start to hone in on some, one concept that we can really start working on. There was a third drawing, for example, to this that we liked, but the elevations at the high school present such a challenge that it's not cost effective, so, yeah.
Okay. Anything for Dr. Zales? All right, very good. Pearl, you are on our agenda, but apparently we just didn't miss getting you on here. So we would like to hear an update. I know it's your first time. Welcome again. Give us an update on what's going on in our school district.
Okay. At Rolla High School this past Tuesday, our freshmen participated in a leadership summit assisted by several of the school's FFA members. Additionally, the sophomore class attended a career expo at the RTI. And from my personal experience, the event ran smoothly and many students expressed interest in the RTI programs or the careers presented. For the upperclassmen of RHS, an experts in the classroom program was ran on campus that I believe Dr. Creedy participated in.
Thank you.
And I think it was an enriching experience for the student body overall. In other news of the high school, the core luncheon was planned to be held today, and I think that's probably going to be rescheduled. I don't have any more information on that. The academic team has been competing throughout December and January, and their next competition will be held this Saturday at Webster Groves. At Truman Elementary School, the PTO skating event is being held tonight. And finally, at the junior high, the spelling bee is coming up February 4th.
Great. Very good. Thank you.
Good things going on.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. There's some dates to remember at the end of your agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, very good.
All right.